A very good evening to everyone. It's Monday night, which means we are back for another round of Sim Race South Africa. Today we're at simGP. That is our lovely open wheeler series. It's good to have you. I'm Ryan Hill, so I'll be covering tonight. We are on a special track today. It is a fictional track called Acopone. Bets are out on how to actually properly pronounce that, seeing as it is fictional. I always thought it was sort of a play on words of Al Capone, which is maybe Italian, so Acopone or Acopone perhaps. But yeah, that's where we are. I'll tell you a little bit more about that track later on. Firstly, just a big hello and welcome to everyone tuning into the live stream. It's really good to have you. Sign off in chat. I'll give you a shout out on stream. Also just want to shout out to our sponsor that you see down, well not sponsor, rather our charity select that you see down there, Abba. Abba, of course, being the non-profit organization we've selected since the middle of last year, and will have been continuing to run through the season, the child protection organization with the adoption accreditation for both national and inter-country adoptions. And I'm very proud to say that the latest amount of money that we've managed to raise for them is totaling just over 60,000 Rand. At the end of last year we raised 34,000 and to date we've raised just over 26,000 Rand. So a big kudos and thanks to everyone that's been racing with us, everyone that's been sponsoring separately even if they don't race with us. It's really been amazing for all your support and what we've been able to do as a group for that group. Very, very happy and proud to be a part of that. I'm going to take you to the track quick and we can see a little bit about what's going on. Shout out to our other sponsors as well. You'll see their logos rotating on screen. Of course, in the bottom left there, we are hosted on simracing.gp. We've been enjoying their platform since they've been in beta. Grumpy Monkey, another one of our sponsors. You'll see Yellow Design Co. Of course, they sponsor us in a number of ways. They also sponsor the liveries. You can see there our camera car essentially as we fade to black has sported the Yellow Design Company livery. We approved GF, that's Grid Finder, of course. You're going to see the Jutech logo pop up in a little bit as well. They make some really awesome sim rigs and hardware and wheels, button boxes, you name it. Go have a look at their site. I've purchased most recently one of their pedal box products, which is one of the newest products, which is a very, very good thing to have if you're still racing at a desk, for example, and your space is limited. Maybe you don't have space for a full rig. I can highly recommend getting one of those just to stabilize your sim racing pedals. Nevertheless, we are in overtime now. Just at the end of practice, the drivers are getting warmed up, and we're going to cut over to a qualifying session, which will last about 15 minutes. Where drivers will basically be dicing it out to see who can get to the top of the grid for the actual race session. There we go, as we flick over into race section now, drivers are going to be piling out of the pits. Lots of smoke there. I think that's for one of the De Villiers drivers. Everyone's super eager to get out onto track as quickly as possible. We're going to go and sit on board very briefly with Joseph and Rensburg as that all happens for Sim Race Extreme as he makes his way around the first couple of corners. This is a very interesting track. What you'll see is it's quite squiggly. There's a little track map in the top right of your screen, just underneath our flag, where you can follow the drivers as I am viewing them. What you'll notice is that the car that I'm currently focused on has a little green arrow and everyone else around will have orange. At times those will change to blue during the race, you know, if they're a back marker and they're being lapped, that sort of thing. But for the time being, it's the green arrow that you need to keep an eye on for where they are and their position on track. Obviously everyone's still on their essentially their outlap right now, but we'll see young Joshua rounding one of the final corners to head towards sort of this second mini back straight here, and there he is onto the main pit stop straight, and he'll be starting his qualifying run. So we can see the delta times will start ticking over in the bottom middle of your screen. You can see what his best lap is, his last lap, and his predicted lap as well, coming in at a 1:11.5. That number will probably bounce around a little bit as essentially the lap times get calibrated But we see, of course, he's just gone purple first sector, but I mean, let's see what happens after another lap or two once every single driver is banked a lap. While we do that, we'll take the time to just quickly have a look at the track layout itself in a little bit more detail. So here it is a bit bigger on your screen. You can see in the middle there, right, is where the flag is, the checkered flag. And they head into the first corner, which is a little bit of a mild left, then a sharper, much second T2 corner rather. And then T3, 4, and 5, and 6 is these little switchbacks, left, right, left, right, left, right, through 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, and 10 is a little bit of a wiggle. It's almost flat, or if not flat out, maybe a little bit of a lift. And then 10 to 11 is your main sort of straight. 11, 12, 13, and then it almost looks like one of those little hair clips my wife wears. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, a little wiggle all the way down through to 19, which is another sharp corner, through 20, 20, and 22, the final corner before they're onto that main pit straight again. So it's a lot of corners, it's a lot of twisty turns. What you'll also find is that there is a lot of elevation changes. Like we'll see just in the background there, if I zoom out and try and find a different camera angle, you can sort of get a feel for there. You can even see the banking of just how up the hill it goes and down the hill it goes. So lots of twisty curves. And I'll be showing you a onboard hot lap guide courtesy of Philip Minnow a little later, and you can get a good idea of what the drivers are going to be going through today as they do that. Looking at the weather forecast, so generally we base our weather forecasts off the real life track and location in the world of what's happening. Because this is a fictional track, we've had to sort of use a little bit of our discretion. The track author himself, 00, has geolocated his track to be in the middle of Japan. So we have modeled or inspired our weather off that today. So we are racing at midday. It's 15 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, so not too cold, not too warm either. The road temperature is ticked up to about 21 degrees, enjoying that nice clear sunny skies. Zero chance of rain, of course. Wind is nothing much to write home about. I don't think it's going to influence anything in the slightest. The grip is pretty good, starting up at 99%. So I imagine after qualifying, essentially that's going to be optimal already during qualifying, and then certainly it'll stay that way for the race as well. Just going to take a quick break and see who's topping the charts along. We've got Emile de Villiers sporting his lovely new livery that was submitted over the weekend for himself, as well as Jeremy de Villiers for the de Villiers Motorsport Racing Team. He is currently in P1 and is still improving. He's just gone purple sectors throughout his entire lap as he looks to quickly teleport to pits, and it literally looks like his car is on fire, smoking up the tires there. What a blistering lap with a 109.0. That is pretty much some of the fastest laps we think we're ever going to see. Place your bets. Speaking of, it's maybe a good time to look at the HLQ times. So HLQ, standing for Hot Lap Qualifying, is essentially what we run from the Monday through to the Sunday, the whole week, giving all the drivers in the league an opportunity to set their best lap time and make it into Division 1. And then we take the top 22 drivers. You can see along my tower there on the left that we have 22 drivers on track today, so I'm very pleased to see that everyone's been able to make it in. Of course, load shedding for Eskom was cancelled or suspended at the end of yesterday, so we're very grateful for that. That means that no one is around today struggling. Some of the issues we saw last week, which also interrupted people's internet connections, instability generally caused throughout the evening, which is a bit of a pain. So yeah, good to see. Touchwood, we're in the clear tonight. And then just looking at these lap times, so these are the HLQ times that drivers put in throughout the week. You can see there that Emile de Villiers has topped the charts with a 108.967. So very close to the time he's just banged in now during qualifying. So keep an eye on that. And Joseph van Rensburg was in third. Second. Garrett was in third. Ruben Kruger, fourth. Philip Minnow, fifth. And Maurice Schumann, sixth. Lawrence Stern, seventh. Mark van Rensburg, eighth. Peter van Rensburg, ninth. And Jeremy de Villiers rounding up your top 10, which is at a 109.837. So you can see the top 10 separated by just about 0.8 of a second. And then all the way down to a 1:10 for Fridge Findlay coming in P22, qualifying for Division 1 tonight. So very close times across the board, only really separated about a second and a half for everyone. We can talk a little bit about the cars. Jackie Joker is just asking in chat about them. So, of course, we're using the Formula RSS Supreme, which is a mod by the very popular Race Sim Studio, or RSS. Of course, it's modeled or is mimicking the top tier of Japanese Formula racing, which is called Super Formula Championship. That was it. Which used to be, I think, Formula Nippon back in the day. Before they, modernized and rebranded, and that's championship is still going, if I'm not mistaken. Using the chassis suppliers from Dallara and engine manufacturers of both Honda and Toyota. So yeah, the Formula RSS Supreme mod for AC is an extremely well built mod. We have been enjoying it this season. We'll bounce around quickly and give you some other views of some other cars. We've got Nick Hudson currently in third, trying to better his 109.3. But yeah, a little bit of stats on the car. So it's 543 HP horsepower, single turbocharged engine. It's also equipped with push to pass. So we'll be talking a little bit about that later on in the race. Drivers are unable to use push to pass during qualifying, so you're not going to be seeing any of that yet, but we'll be seeing that come alive during the race. The drivers can essentially inject a few more horsepowers into their car when they push that little button on their dashboard, of which I think they have 10, there might be 15 starting at the beginning of the race. Apologies if I forget, because TC is the other series we run that also has push to pass, and one of them is 10, one of them is 15. We'll find out at the beginning of the race. The tower information should be relaying that information so we can figure it out. A little bit more about the track as well. So it's fictional, yes, but it is modeling to the FIA Grade 3 standard. It's about a 4.31 kilometer track in distance. Width ranges between 10 and 15 meters wide, so it's quite ample. Some overtaking spots. 28 grid slots. We're only using 23 today, 22 races and myself in the camera car. And yeah, the attention to detail that's gone into this track is very good indeed. If you use Content Manager and all the frills that comes with that, it supports night racing. It's got a fully lit track in terms of working lights in and around the track. A lot of detail has gone into the surface of it, cracks and marbling. It's quite a good amount of buildings around, vehicles, crowds, tents, flags, etc. Yeah, it's pretty well done. Without further ado, we've got 5 minutes left in qualifying. Just a quick recap before we jump to another video. Got Emil up in front, Joseph and Redensburg currently in second. Nick Hudson still in P3, down on his delta there, so he's not going to make an improvement right now. Philip Minot currently in fourth, and Ruben Kruger rounds up your top 5. I'm going to quickly hop to a lap guide put together by Philip Minot. You can get a good idea of what a full lap around here looks like in just under a minute 10. Here you go.
Hey guys, Philip here. Welcome to an onboard lap at Acopone Raceway in the RSS Formula Supreme for round 3 of the SRSA simGP series. Not the best exit out of the last corner, if I have to be honest. But this is apparently my fastest lap. But yeah, without any more waffling, let's get into the lap. Braking right before that exit or that pit exit curb stops. And then looking for later apex and using all of the exit curb you can, all through these S's as well. Quite flat, easy flat through here, and coming up to turn 6 we're braking at the 60 meter mark somewhere there, using a bit of the inside curb and a bit of the exit curb there, and using all of this exit curb because the concrete slab is quite slippery and you won't get that traction you need out of that corner. And yeah, coming up to the dipper, we're looking to use a bit of the entry curb there, but it's quite an elevated curb, so not too much. And then just using it in, apexing late, trusting the car, and using all of the curb you can. And then coming through the third sector S's, this is all flat. In other GP cars, this sector is terrifying. Luckily this car has a lot of grip, so no issues there. Braking before the 50 for this corner, the air quote last corner. As you can see, I did miss my apex by like 17 miles, but it's fine since that corner has a lot of camber, so you can actually ride the banking there up to the finish line. And yeah, here we go for a 109.344.
We are back live here as we see just 2.5 minutes left of qualifying. What I do need to bring up very quickly is just the current championship standings for you. So this is obviously round 3. So the events results you see on screen now after 2 races. And there we can see Emile de Villiers topping the charts, having won 1 race. Marius Skuman narrowly behind, just 2 points difference there between the top 2 drivers. Kurt Pretorius in P3, Joshua van Rensburg P4, Sas van der Vestes, and rounding out your top 5. Alrighty, a minute 50 left. Let's see what we have here. Essentially, Emile de Villiers is up top with a 108.9, so we can see those times have been improving over the duration of the session, which is to be expected. The grip levels continue to improve as the session progresses dynamically. We're also seeing slightly faster lap times than we did in HLQ, which is also to be expected because of the lower temperatures, which are going to favor these drivers with conditions, and the tires also gives them an opportunity to draft accordingly. We see Pretorius just bump himself up into 4th there. It looked like he went purple sector in P1, sector 1 rather. Yeah, it's done pretty well for himself to get up into the 2nd row of the grid. Nick Hodgson is still sort of stuck, I'd say, in P3, but I think he's going to be quite happy with that result for the time being. Sas van der Vestesen has just gone purple sector in sector 1. Orange in sector 2. Let's see what he can cross the line in with sector 3. Slightly down there, but enough to put him into P6 for now as he starts another lap. Marius Skuman now has gone purple sector in sector 1. Always coming up to a little bit of traffic in his teammate there, but I'm sure he'll dive out of the way. The 2nd sector is slightly, actually quite a bit down on his delta, 0.8 seconds, so I think there was a bit of a mistake there. We'll have to see what he can do in sector 3 as he crosses the line. Has gone better, but not the session best, but it's enough to keep his P7 secure for now. Jeremy de Villiers currently in P9, Ruben Krieger P8. Lawrence Sterner for Odin Racing currently sitting in P11, looking to get into the top 10 there. Also not improving on this lap, so no progress there unfortunately. Looks like he's backing out of that just as a de Villiers car comes hurtling past. Got a lot of smoke in the pits, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. Raymond Duggan currently in 14th. I've just seen Joshua van Rensburg, I think, pop up into 2nd. Nick Hodgson also pops himself back into 3rd position now and reads himself into the wall. We are officially in overtime, and there's only a couple more drivers left on track. Joseph van Rensburg has gone purple sector in sector 1. Sector 2 he's down on, diving into, I'm not sure if he just bailed out of that lap or what, but wasn't going to finish the lap. Marius Skuman is pulling into the pits as well. Peter van Rensburg, I think that is pretty much it. Everyone is in the pits. Looks like Emile de Villiers will be taking your pole position. Joseph van Rensburg 2nd. On the front row of the grid, and 2nd row we've got Nick Hodgson and Sas van der Vestesen, followed by the rest of the drivers as you can see them there. Let me quickly go to a 30-second ad break and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, we are back just in the final seconds of overtime here. Following qualifying, they will see the session flicking over to race. Drivers will now have a few more seconds to load up their setups, their pit stop strategies, all that type of thing, as we see the grid essentially prepare themselves. And there's about a 40-second countdown remaining. So drivers will be making those last-minute adjustments, double-checking their setups, their race strategies, maybe talking to their teammates if they have them on radio comms, just to figure out the plan of attack. The other thing that you'll see lined up on the grid here is those little green lights at the top of the car, which will be indicating whether they are using push to pass or not. So keep an eye on that in the race when they are blinking, indicating that they've been activated. And we all got lights are coming on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They will be off and we'll be racing now. Go, go, go. They all pull off the line. Looks like a relatively clean. Oh, someone has gone haywire in the back there. It looked like a SimRace Extreme car. I'm not 100% sure who. But otherwise, the majority of the field has made their way cleanly through. Certainly the top 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 or so are all looking pretty good. For the time being, we're on board with Sas van der Vestes and just looking a little bit ahead as well, a little bit behind. You see the two Grumpy Monkey cars they're getting side by side. I believe that's Nick and Philip Minard. Certainly no team orders here for sure, but they'll both trying to be keeping their noses clean. You don't want to conduct the cardinal sin of taking your teammate out, especially on lap 1. But, yeah, for now it looks like we are underway here at Acopone Racing. We've got Emile de Villiers up in the lead, followed very closely by Joseph van Rensburg. For SimRace Extreme, following the de Villiers Motorsport Racing. Keep very close eyes on this as we go down the pack. And they're already down, 1 lap down. Having a quick look at our tower leaderboard there, we can just see with the movers and shakers off the line here after lap 1. The biggest winner, I think, is Marius Skuman up into P3 right now. He has gained 4 places off the start of the line. Nick Hodson, conversely, has lost out on 2 places since the start, as has Philip Minard. Jeremy de Villiers up 2 places, and then another unfortunate incident down the line. Gerard Pretorius, as we see, going off track. He's lost out 7 places, and I think another mistake, they're causing him to drop a couple more, fortunately. We will flick our tower back to the gaps mode so you can see what's potting there. Oh, there's another car going sideways off there. I think it was apologies, it's going to be quite tricky to find who that was there. It was a blue and yellow, or blue and white car. I think it could have been the BWR of Michael LaRue. I'm not 100% sure. As we just see Emile de Villiers set the fastest lap of the 109.9. So expect to see those lap times continue to tumble. We've just seen Philip Minard. Oh, so all 3 Grumpy Monkey cars, look at this, side by side. Nick Hodson has sent his way up back into 4th, I think, but followed very closely by Philip Minard and Sas van der Vestes. And I'm going to try and see if I can go on board for you and find a rear camera. I will have to flick through a few of them, so just bear with me. That is not the right view. Apologies. This will be the camera set. We'll go, and there we go. Look back. This is on board with Nick Hudson looking back on Philip Minard. And unfortunately, I'm seeing Sas van der Vesten fall all the way down the track. I'm not sure what happened here, but you can see he's off track. And he's going to wait to join safely as the rest of traffic goes by. Careful not to spin it on the grass. You don't want to spin it around either. Oh, he's struggling just with the amount of dirt on his tires and no doubt a little bit of overheating from the spinning. But it looks like he is safely on his way again, unfortunately in position 21. So he's got a bit of a recovery drive to do now, unfortunately. But we'll keep an eye on him throughout the race, see how he does. Bumping back up to the top now, Morris Kuman we see in P3. Being cheered on, of course, by the wifey Sharon Skuman in chat. How's it, Sharon? We see the light blinking there at the top of Morris's car, which means he's activated that push to pass. I've just seen Cara Pretorius make a move on Ben Wheeler. This is for position 12, a little bit down the pack as we come up and over the hill. Down we go. Drivers will see trying to make the most out of those track limits, just extending those curves, just trying to slingshot their way and get the quickest drive around that corner. Very twisty section this here as he essentially rounds what's going to be one of the final corners. As we see Emile de Villiers bank yet another fastest lap as we continue to see the purple sectors flicker up and down the track. A couple of cars dicing for position here down the straight. Looks like Ben Wheeler battling with Ronald Childs just behind him, and just behind him there's Cornet Breed for Flying Gypsies. It's a very close battle here. It looks like Ronald Childs in the BWR car is trying to make a move around Ben Wheeler, but he just can't find the space right now. Meanwhile, Cornet Breed is just looking for an opportunity to take them both. So some very close racing here, yet very clean racing, so congrats to that battle there. It lives on. That's what we are going to do. Unfortunately, I've seen Sass jump down another place, but it looks like he has just gone into the pits. So perhaps repairing some damage, maybe flipping the tires that were ruined a little bit, and taking an early pit stop. We'll see him filter out back into traffic here. So he's going to have to be very careful about if he's either been showing blue flags for back markers. You can, if you feel that you're a faster, stay out in front. Blue flags are of course advisory. He is pulling over for Fridge Findlay though, who goes through for Team Lotus driving. Oh, unfortunately Sass goes off track a little bit and allows a couple more of the Sim Racing Extreme cars to go past. So yeah, unfortunately Sass struggling a little bit in this race. Morris Kuman back up at the top here now. Philip Minnow we've just seen gain a position on Nick Hudson. Looking back over to intervals now instead of the timed gaps, so you can see a little bit where the battles are happening here. We still have Ruben Kruger just 0.3 seconds behind Jeremy de Villiers here. We can see them ramping those curves back onto the final corner as they go across the main straight. Start another lap. Look how close this is, 0.1 seconds behind Jeremy de Villiers. He is tucked in super close behind it. Looks like he's diving to the inside and will have that move made. Stuck and done very cleanly, so an excellent pass there by Ruben Kruger. I just love the rear wing of Ruben Kruger's car there. It says, see ya. Hopping back to Philip Manon, who is 0.3 of a second behind Morris Skuman, looking to pile on all sorts of pressure. Further down the field, we do see Cornet Breed. Oh, having a bit of an Ipsy. What is going on here? There's some swapping and swapping. So we see a few cars off track. I think there is a couple of position changes here down in the back. So much action happening on track, it's difficult to follow it all. Lawrence Sterner, I've seen, is side by side right now with I think that's Ben Wheeler. Oh, there's a little bit of contact, I think. As they try and make their way past, there's a mad dash for the position, diving up the inside. There's heavy contact, and it sends both of them off track. Fortunately, looks like they're both able to recover somewhat stably and both keep going. Looks like Ben Wheeler has taken the advantage there ahead of Lawrence Stone. Good to see that both drivers are able to recover and keep going with minimal time loss there. I thought for sure once they were stuck in the kitty lids, someone was going to have a very bad day. Oof, aggressive ramping of the curbs there by Ben Wheeler. But yeah, back up to the battle I want to have a look at right now for Philip Minnaar and Marius Schoeman. Look how close this is here as they again looking to... Oh, so much weaving and ducking and diving off the back. I think that's a back marker as well who gets well out of the way. Could be Hein van Niekerk, yes. Just diving out of the way there for the leaders trying to desperately make their way through traffic. Certainly make it very exciting for the viewers. Oh, big lock up there for Marius Schoeman. Is that something that hopefully hasn't damaged his tyres too much, as we see Philip Minnaar trying to close up that gap again. Apparently just half a second behind. Duck down to Mika Abrams in P8 right now, 0.7. Also sporting a new livery by the looks of it. That is Tian Elof's livery, if I'm not mistaken. So perhaps he's just borrowed the car's livery for this race. And yet another fastest lap is banged in by Emile de Villiers, or 109.678. Up in front. So good job to Emile, who's enjoying a healthy gap to second right now from Josip and Rensbeck, 3.2 seconds, who is also another 3 seconds or so ahead of Philip Minnaar, but there you can see that gap closely behind Philip Minnaar and Marius Schoeman. The battle for podium is still on here. Just a few minutes into this race, we do see another car diving down. I believe that's Ronald Childs, who's gone into the pit lane for BWR, possibly taking an early stop, repairing some damage, flipping the tires and fuel, and getting back out there. So we'll keep an eye on him and where he filters out. Who's dropping down? Ruben Kruger. Unfortunately for Skytrim Sim Racing, also sporting a new livery, has had an off-track excursion there and filtered out just ahead of Raymond Duggan. Watching that battle. Unfortunately, I have seen Hein van Niekerk has disconnected from the server, unfortunately, so he has retired the car. We'll maybe get a debrief from him or the team afterwards as to what happened there, perhaps just spawning a little bit too much damage and unable to complete the race. This is a position battle for P8 at the moment, with Raymond Duggan following closely behind Ruben Kruger. Jumping back up now to this battle for third. Marius is a second behind Philip Minnaar in P3 at the moment. Just Jackie asking the question, care to tell us which wheels these guys are running? I don't know. Van Hardest mentioning that most use G29s, someone direct drives, someone thrustmasters. Yeah, essentially, I'd probably say half of the field are running the equivalent of the Logitech series wheels. You know, you got the G25s are getting a bit long in the tooth now. A lot of G27s are a little bit old as well, but still there. But then the majority, I'd say G29s or the G920s. There's obviously the new iteration of that, the G923, I think it is. There's a lot of Thrustmaster equivalents, you know, the T300s, that sort of series. And then I'd probably say maybe the top quarter, not necessarily top, it doesn't always make you faster, but I'd say maybe a quarter of the drivers in the field have got direct drive wheels, the likes of Fanatec's or simCubes or OSD wheels or that sort of thing. I know quite a few drivers that are still having a traditional gear or belt-driven wheel, but they've upgraded their pedals as a first sort of upgrade path, which is quite a recommended thing to do. Pedals won't necessarily make you faster, but it will definitely help your consistency, especially if you have a load cell pedal. Jumping back down to corner, Breed now in P12 is just 0.3 of a second behind Mark van Rensburg's BWR car. So we'll see how Corner's flying Gypsy can pedal his way through the corners and possibly take the fight to Mark van Rensburg up ahead. A little bit further down the field, Peter van Rensburg as well. Look at this battle for 15th. Or 13th rather, if you look at Victor Filter ahead of him and Fridge Findlay just ahead of that group. A little bit of a lock up there. In fact, there's a BWR car in the mix going off track, but it does look like a back marker, perhaps just getting out of the way. As we continue to see push to pass being used here for Peter van Rensburg, trying to make his way past Victor Filter, and does. So a good pass there secured under the push to pass. Peter van Rensburg makes his way past after the clean pass on Victor Filter. We'll have a little bit look up the field to Nick Hudson. Looks like he's currently behind a BWR car, which I think is a back marker as they get well out of the way. Yep. Nick starting in P3, I think it was, down at P6, so he's looking to make his way back up to a podium finish. He has another 43 minutes to do so. Of course, you see at the top of your screen there where it says the time remaining, but it also indicates the pit window and how long they have to go. The pit window will remain open for another 33 minutes. Essentially, it opens 10 minutes into the race and closes 10 minutes before the close of the race. And there's essentially one mandatory pit stop that all the drivers need to complete. To successfully complete your mandatory pit stop, they need to fill up with at least 1 liter of fuel or swap their tires, or both. Oh, big lock up there for Nick Hudson as he rounds T2, essentially that is. But yeah, second behind Jeremy de Villiers, still just trying to make up for some lost time. See Mark van Rensburg just putting a pass on Fridge Findlay. You can see the green livery for the Team Lotus Register flying their colours. That looked to be a pretty clean pass from what I could see. We got the tail end of it. Corner Breed, closest battle on track right now, 0.2 seconds behind Rob van der Heever. Evening to Stephen Kenny in the chat from GTech. How's it going? I'm going to take you on board with Corner Breed. Just want to watch him see if he can close up to Rob van der Heever. Ooh, a little bit of a lag spike there. That car popped in and out of existence. Massive dive there. I'm not sure what happened with Rob van der Heever. He's just dived into the pits, unfortunately, and is marked as DNF. We did see his car sort of flicker in and out of existence. Maybe he's struggling with his internet connectivity or something. Fortunately, did not collide with Cornet Breed, who is continuing his merry way and has been gifted P10. Lawrence Sterner, I see, has just made a move on Victor Filter for Odin Racing. It's a nice shot of them coming down the hill here on that big straight. Oh, Victor Filter goes extremely wide, but manages to keep it on track and keep going. I do like the red of that car's livery. Reminds me of a good Ferrari. Doing very well, thanks, Stephen. Right, movements on track. Ronald Childs has just got past. Oh no, that's Rob van der Heever, who's still ticking down the board, but it looks like he's rejoined. He has rejoined. He's in the pits and currently leaving the pits as we speak. So good to have him back. Not sure what his troubles were. Maybe he needed to quickly reboot the router or the game itself, but he is back on track and has rejoined in position 19. A bit further down the field, looking at Sas van der Westhuizen, and unfortunately still having a bit of a dismal night out in P21. Going to bring up the positions on screen. So I believe it's the progress as I flicked it. There you can see Sas van der Westhuizen has lost out on 17 places since qualifying. So certainly had a rough start and is going to be spending the next 40 odd minutes building his way back up onto track. Almost looked like he dipped a wheel into the grass there, running very wide. But yeah, certainly for our top runners right now, Emile de Villiers, as we hop back to him at the top, still enjoying his lead, followed by Joseph van Rensburg. Philip Minnaar is up 2 places into P3, followed very closely by Maurice Skimmen right now, up 3 places. And I think another one of the biggest winners since qualifying is Cornet Breed, who's up 12 places since qualifying. Enjoying that P10 spot though, and I'm sure you'll be very happy if you can finish in a top 10 position tonight. Pit stops there, you can see just essentially the bottom 17 onwards there, essentially who've done a stop so far. We'll keep an eye on that later on. Tire age as well. But I've heard that that is a little bit unreliable, so we won't look too much at the tire age. We'll head back to the intervals. I'm going to hop to Ruben Kruger right now, who is just behind Nick Hudson's Grumpy Monkey car. Just Jackie mentioning there about the track limits, noticing that some guys going off track, some respecting it. You know, I think if essentially the verdict is that if drivers are found to have a lasting advantage, it can be reported, which the stewards will have a look at, and they'll be subject to any penalties if it's deemed necessary. It's all self-managed by the community. You know, if another driver sees wherever they're battling cutting corners, they can simply report it. It'll be looked into. In terms of the penalties themselves, there's a little key that I just want to see if we have a reference. So essentially it's almost like what's built into a Assetto Corsa Competizione, where the first time you cut would be a warning, second cut's a warning, third cut's a warning. The fourth time you cut, you'll get an instant drive-through penalty, so 20 seconds roughly. If, however, you significantly cut, one particular corner, you can expect to get an immediate drive-through. And then, separate note, I guess, during qualifying. If you cut during qualifying, here, if it invalidates the track limits, I mean, I think that's fine. The track limits are pretty good in that regard. If for some reason we have a track on the calendar where the track limits aren't pretty well applied, you can be disqualified, or rather get a 5-second penalty for each cut during qualifying, which will be applied to your post-race time. So in a nutshell, anyway, that's how it's governed. between Nick Hudson and Ruben Kruger here, the closest battle on track. The next closest would possibly be Mark van Rensburg on the back of Cornet Breed here, who does look like he has some traffic in between them as a fellow BWR car. It'll be very interesting to see if that car dives out of the way or not. We're going to go on board with them now. So, yep, that car did dive out of the way, as you would have seen. So good teamwork there, just staying out of the fight and not compromising any sort of gains on track. Yep, as Hardest says, it's unfortunately one of the disadvantages of AC. You know, essentially it is I think it's about 10 years old now. I seem to recall 2012 in my mind is when the game was released. So that is an extremely long time for a sim to be out compared to everything else that is out there now. You know, Assetto Corsa Competizione is a very mature product now, and their live stewarding essentially that they have during the game is leaps and bounds above what AC is able to provide. So at some point, you know, we're going to have to think long and hard about the continued use of Assetto Corsa here. But for the time being, it's pretty much the only place we can get some nice, affordable open-wheel racing that isn't too arcadey in terms of feel. With the help of Content Manager, CSP, the custom shaders, patch, there's quite a bit of longevity left in the old girl, I'd say. But it does mean a little bit of an increased overhead on the admin and the stewards team. Fortunately, we're not at the size where we can have live stewards monitoring everything. So we literally just review everything post-race, if it comes to it. So Jackie, we have switched, so to speak, quote-unquote, to ACC for all of our GT3 racing, for example. But ACC is a closed model. It doesn't support mods, which means we cannot run some of the cars that we want to run with it. For example, open wheelers. They just don't exist in Assetto Corsa Competizione. So until they do, or until maybe Kuno Simulation, whatever the Italian one is for that, releases Assetto Corsa 2 or ACC 3 or whatever they're going to call the next version of AC, this is what we will be using. Oh, we see Mark van Rensburg have a big spin there, and he's shunted off into the wall. Actually getting it all wrong there, and he'll be limping his way back onto track, just trying to rejoin safely there, and losing out on a couple of places. It cuts back into P13. Sim races Grim, so does R Factor 2. Yep, you are very right. That is a really good... also very old, but still good, supported by mods and whatnot, sim. Personally, I haven't run Race Factor with the open wheelers, so I'm not 100% sure about that, Jackie. Maybe someone else in chat can answer that question if they do have the experience. And yes, these cars do look good. Essentially, Race Sim Studio, or RSS, are renowned for their open wheelers mods that they sell for Assetto Corsa. These are paid mods, but they are very much well worth it in my opinion. They are top quality, the attention to detail, just how fun they are to drive, it's super stuff really. Have a look back at Carol Pretorius here and Raymond Duggan. We are all just within a second behind Nick Hodson, so we'll keep an eye on that battle. We have a change up at the front here. Emil de Villiers has dived into the pits, so he is taking his early pit stop, or the first of the front runners to do so. Jackie, just a question about F1 2021 being a 60/40 sim. Yeah, in our opinion, it's still too much of an arcade game to be considered seriously and support what we want to do with the sim as well. So for the time being, we will not be running those in a competitive league nature. I see a couple more other drivers pitting. That's what you'll see, the tower changes on your board. You'll see the little white P for pits next to them, so you know that there aren't position changes due to battles on track, but rather just them diving to the pit lanes. Jeremy pits as well as Ruben Kruger's just exiting. A nice sky trim livery, does look pretty good. Nice flag there on the engine cover. Raymond Duggan up in P5 now. It's just 0.6 seconds. Nick still trying to find his way up into 4. So don't get me wrong, Jackie. F1 series by Codemasters is still brilliant games. Or simcades, or whatever you want to call them. They're very good, they're very fun. They look epic as well, just the graphics, you know, that they've placed a lot of attention to detail on. Still a lot of fun to be had there. Mark van Rensburg is taking his pit stop. Slipping down a couple places because of it. We'll have a look at Garrett Pretorius, 0.4 behind Raymond Duggan. Let's quickly go on board with them. See Garrett Pretorius making some good ground on there on the cars ahead of him, Raymond and Nick. Just while all of that was happening, we saw Philip Minard dive into the pits. So Garrett Pretorius there looking very smooth and racy. Sure, he's have every chance at making podium at this pace. Morris Skimman is in the pits from P2. See a lot of cars making their pit stops right now. I think it's pretty much halfway through the race with a lot of scheduled stops essentially. That's promoted Corner Breed all the way up to 2nd, but of course he hasn't stopped yet. There'll be a lot of shuffling of the leaderboard as the pit stops take place. We'll see where the dust settles and where everyone comes out. Ooh, a little bit of an off-track excursion there, but I think it was just someone very generously trying to get out of the way there. I think it was Ben Wheeler. Not sure if that was intentional to get off the track in such a manner to let the essentially the blue flags being shown. You don't necessarily have to leave the track to do that. You don't even need to pull off the track at all. Blue flags, just to remind everyone about what our stance is at SimRace South Africa. Essentially, they're advisory, which means you don't need to dive out of the way. Or yield the position immediately. Essentially, it's up to the person doing the lapping to pick their spot to overtake. It's up to both cars to be predictable, and it's up to the person being lapped basically to not defend the position into the corner. You're not allowed to defend your position. But other than that, you know, it's up to you when you get that move made. Of a lock up there again for Ben Wheeler, as he seems to be struggling a little bit on this lap. I wonder if he's gone in for his pit stop yet. Maybe his tyres are giving up a little bit. We can maybe have a look at that if I switch to pit stops. It is reflecting that he's done a pit stop. You can also just glance at the towel while we're doing that. Joseph van Rensburg is currently in the pits. That is why it's reflecting one stop, but he is right there as we speak. Corne Breed is currently leading this race, but as you can see has got 0 stops, so he's still going to filter back down the pack. I do believe that Emile de Villiers has probably got net first at this stage, as he's coming past the pit stop straight now. In fact, Joseph van Rensburg has managed to get out in front, so very quick stop there, and as we say, that Corne Breed is diving into the pits. That will promote Peter van Rensburg up into P3, but again, he has not done a stop. Who else hasn't done their stop? We see Fridge, Findlay, and Corne Breed diving in. Lawrence Stone, I think, in P6 now. Is pretty much the only man on track now to have not done a pit stop yet. So we'll look out for that as it comes through. Flick the tower back to intervals so we can see where the good gaps are. So it looks like Raymond Duggan 0.7 behind Jeremy de Villiers. It's one thing I was hoping to be able to show everyone tonight is the number of push-to-pass activations that drivers have left. For some reason, it's no longer appearing on my timing tower. It used to appear, so I need to figure out what's gone wrong there in my next broadcast. Perhaps something's changed in the app or the car. Apologies for that, so I can't actually tell you how many push-to-pass activations drivers have remaining, unfortunately. Some other widgets, but yeah, no, it's not showing. Nevertheless, Corne Breed currently half a second behind Mika Abrams in that very Tron looking black and purple livery, really dark and sinister. See if we can go on board with Mika Abrams looking behind to Corne Breed. See a Corne Breed have a little lock up there behind Mika. But yo, this livery, the dark black almost looks or reminds me of I think it's called Vanta Black, where it's so pitch black. It's as if it's absorbing all light itself. But I do like it. It reminds me of Tron. The geek in me appreciates that. Back up to the front now, we've got Philip Minnow, who's just 0.3 seconds behind Morris Skuman, trying to fight his way up to 4th. Jackie asking if this is modeled off the 2019 F1 car. No, not at all. This is modeled off a Dallara chassis, which is based off the Super Formula, or the Japanese series, which is the Super Formula Championship, essentially. cars look almost identical the way they've been modeled. Meanwhile, this battle on track, look how close this is. Philip is trying to get around and find a way past Marius. He's all over the back of him. See just behind him, Karol Pretorius and Lawrence Stern are going side by side. I think there was a little bit of a collision there, and Lawrence has muscled his way back in front of Karol Pretorius. Such a close battle, and I'm almost scared to flick back to Philip and Minna ahead with the battle for fourth against Marius Skuman, just in case I miss something between these cars. There's a dive up the inside for Cardi. He has a little look, but he's tucked it back in. And yes, Nippon, so Jackie, the Japanese Formula Racing Series, I think it was around 95, 96. It was renamed to the Formula Nippon Championship, and then around about 2013, I think if I remember it well, as my trick here, changed to Super Formula, also known as the official Japanese Championship Super Formula, until about 2016. Sorry, just as we've been speaking, Philip Minna has made his way past Marius Skuman, so he managed to get that move done. As after passing Marius, has stretched his lead out to over a second now, and I think he's been bumped up another place because Peter van Rensburg has just dived into the pits, which for me is strange because I think that is the second pit stop, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have a look at the timing tower in a sec just to confirm that once he's left the pits. If it is, that has gone horribly wrong for Peter, because that must be unplanned if it is. He's leaving the pits now. No, apologies, it is saying one stop, so I must have missed him when I skimmed through the list of everyone who had done their stops. So that was Peter van Rensburg's stops. He enjoyed his little stint up at the head of the pack, but now has slipped back down into P12 following that pit stop event. So Marius Skuman here looks like he's coming up to some traffic. There's a BWR car tucked in there, and also then side by side with the Tron-like Mika Abrams, I think, getting out of the way there. You can see Philip Minna, the grumpy monkeyed multicolored livery lead, just ahead of him over there, so he's not too far behind. If we had to go on board with Philip here, who's stuck behind a BWR, that is definitely some back marker traffic. He's going to feel very frustrated right now, I'm sure, as he's every second he's stuck behind there. There, BWR car finally dives out of the way. Marius Skuman is managed to close that gap just due to that traffic, unfortunately. Nothing wrong there, I don't think, from what I saw of the short-term period, of course, of the BWR car. As I said earlier with the blue flags, you don't need to dive out of the way, just don't defend the corner, essentially. So that was just timing, and all down to luck, or bad luck, or good luck, depending on who you're focusing on, in terms of when these drivers catch everyone on track. But now Philip is enjoying some clear air, and I think has got his gap back up to 0.9 seconds. Jackie again mentioning the track limits. Yep, I mean it's all up to the drivers. If they submit race investigation requests, it will be looked into if necessary. Further down the field, Raymond Duggan 0.3 seconds behind Jeremy de Villiers. This is for position. You can see the cars right here. See the green light flashing very vigorously of Jeremy de Villiers there, as you can see in the foreground. So he's just using that to defend essentially against Corne Breed. Schumann is 0.8 or 0.7 seconds behind Philip, so that gap isn't really extending too much, I'm sure, as Philip would have wanted. So a quarter of an hour left in this race. We'll see if Morris can somehow make it up to a podium finish. Taurus in P5 for Some Race Extreme. Is followed very closely by Ruben Kruger on track, as we'll see him coming just over the hill now there into view. So I'm going to leave you on board with Morris Skuman right now, and Philip Minor is the closest battle. We'll see how that progresses. A little bit down further down the field rather. Having a look at Sas van der Westhuizen, so hasn't managed to recover too much, still sitting in P18 unfortunately, following his, I think it was lap 1 or 2 incidents. So he's just looking essentially to nurse the car home tonight. Still some valuable points up for grabs in Div1 if you finish within 80% of the leader's laps. You are still eligible for points. That's why we always encourage drivers to carry on with the race if they find themselves having an accident, rather than choosing to DNF. If at all possible, that is. Certain circumstances mean sometimes you actually can't. Mike LaRue just ahead of Sass there for BWR, sitting in P17. Mika Abrams in P16 at the moment. Ben Wheeler just ahead of him. Mark van Rensburg for BWR sitting in P14. Lawrence Sterner for Odin Racing. Fridge Findley just ahead of Peter van Rensburg. Get a good look at the Team Lotus register, green and yellow skin. Looking good. Acopone breed hanging on to that top 10 position. See Sass just getting past Mike LaRue there at the back. And looks like he's heading into a little bit of a quite back market traffic here. I think he's essentially just trying to unlap himself now at this point. Peter van Rensburg is getting past Fridge Findlay, who is dropping down the pack, and you can see they're having a little bit of a spin, unfortunately. A couple of few other cars able to capitalize. So just behind Lawrence Sterner, you can see the two SimRace Extreme cars getting very side by side, and over the curbs and grass goes Peter van Rensburg. Doing a little bit of farming, but manages to keep it going and pointed in the right direction. Look at this, is for position Mark van Rensburg. The BDR tucks out and takes the inside line. It's a T1, and that is a brilliant clean move there. Fantastic stuff. Rensburg bumps himself up into P12. A little bit of a lock up there. Hey Rob. I mentioned your internet line went down. Oh, that's unfortunate, Rob. It really is devastating when that happens, especially when you've been having a great rate. Jump back up to Ruben Kruger, who is 0.7 of a second behind Carol Pretorius there. You can see the Skytrim Racing livery car following the SimRace Extreme car. So quickly see Mika Abrams make a move on Ben Wheeler further down the pack. We're just under 9 minutes remaining of this race. Jackie, going back to that comment you had on Codemasters, the F1 series games. I've just seen in our Discord, for those of you who are interested, that SimCade is hosting a 2022 sim racing competition on F1 2022. Projected live at Mesopotamia in 36 Berg Street, Cape Town. Looks like this coming Sunday from 3 p.m. So yeah, if you're interested in that, they have a social media hashtag of #WinASimRig, which is a hot lap point based championship. So if you are interested in that, and you like the Formula 1 22 games, I assume this is. Looks like it, F1 Sim Racing Competition on F1 2022. Yeah, you can find those details that Dwayne Fiskalkvik has posted on our Discord. Speaking of that, if anyone needs the website link for joining, so we see Ruben Krieger getting very close to the back of Carol Pretorius here. We're actually just going to watch this battle and happen down. It's T1. Will he make the move? Oh, Carol Pretorius has gone very wide, and that mistake is going to cost him the position as Ruben takes it very easily. But yes, as I was saying, the website is coming up on screen. Join today at www.simracesa.co.za. And if you follow that link, you will get to our main website, and you'll find links there to everything you want. So Discord, YouTube, social medias, Twitter, Facebook, blah blah blah. Ruben hanging onto a P5 finish here for another 6 minutes. Can he do it? Further down the field, I'm looking at Peter van Rensburg. Is 0.8 seconds behind Mark van Rensburg. Another couple of close battles on track. Raymond Duggan now is closed up on Jeremy de Villiers. Looking very racy here. I'm going to quickly go on board. Oh, there's a little bit of a mistake there, as it looks like otherwise he may have been able to capitalize on that move to Jeremy de Villiers, but unfortunately had to essentially recover. But we'll keep an eye on this battle for another lap or so and see what happens. We're in the dying stages of this race now, 5 minutes to go. Drivers will be consuming their push to pass as we see Gerard Pretorius make a move around the outside for Ruben Kruger. Will he be able to come back at him? I'm going to go on board and have a look. Oh, a little bit of an outbraking there. I'm not sure if that was the ideal line. But nevertheless, it does look like he's closing on Gerard. Maybe a little bit of the draft he's enjoying here down the back straight. Will he make a move into T1? Oh, he's trying to go on the outside. I'm not sure if there's room to do that there. Can he get the cutback? There's a little bit of a lockup by Gerard Pretorius, but he does manage to stay in front for the time being. So some excellent close racing here between these two gentlemen. He's still not over, as I think Ruben's trying to look around the inside, but Gerard shut the door on him. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there as Ruben gets a little bit sideways, and I think that's opened up the gap a little bit now, and there'll be a bit of a breathing room to Gerard. So for the time being, he's going to have to just recover and get back. But I think it does feel like he has a little bit more pace on Gerard. And I'm sure he'll be dying to get back into that slip with about 4 minutes to go, just before it's too late. Pop back up to Morris Kumar, who's sitting in P4. I think it's about 3 seconds behind Philip. Have a look now as the timing tower switches. Got 5 seconds behind, so he's got some work to do if he wants to catch a podium position. We'll also go on board for him a little bit and see where he does with the traffic ahead of a VWR car, I think that says he does pull out of the way very nicely. Driving there from Morris, a great view of the little S-bends as they snake their way up the top section of that track. So for the time being, 2.5 minutes left, we have Joseph van Rensburg for SimRace Extreme up in P1. And he's done some great work there to basically gain a position since qualifying up into P1 from P2. Emile de Villiers currently sitting in P2. He qualified on pole, still taking home some valuable points here for P2. Not to be sniffed at. I think a big winner here today as well. Philip Minnaar up 2 places to make it onto the podium so far. Touch wood. I'm sure he's going to be pretty stoked with that. Drivers have just reached 50 laps down in this race with 1:20 to go. Jump back on with Ruben Krugers. Can he make his way back up to Garrett Pretorius in time or not? That gap is closed down to 0.6, 0.7 now. Inching closer but closer, but I think he only has about this lap and next to do it in, if it's going to happen. Meanwhile, Raymond Duggan and Corne Bread here are racing for position as well. A couple of half a second between them each. There's a little bit of a backmarker traffic situation here. The BWR car jumps out of the way. A lot of traffic here in the final death stages of this mid-pack battle. Oh, I've gone way off track there. There's a little bit of a mistake. I think that's actually going to lose them time. Oh, it looks very sideways there as he tries to get through. Maybe a little bit of a loss of downforce there, just following closely. The leader is now on the final lap. So these cars are going to be throwing it all. And they're essentially final lap of their race. As we see a desperation move by Corne Bread, I think going around the outside, but that's not going to make it stick. Oh, a little bit of a touch of the grass there, which is a mistake by Raymond Duggan. Which has allowed Corne Bread, sorry the liveries are identical, it's hard to see who's who here. But has allowed Corne Bread to pass Raymond Duggan. And unfortunately I've just seen Mark van Rensburg disconnect from the server. Maybe it might be because he's finished, apologies. Yeah, that's nothing to be concerned about. As drivers are now finishing their laps. Any final battles? See Morris Gowan comes home in 4th. Garrett Pretorius is still racing and has managed to keep it ahead of Ruben Kruger, P5. And I'm going to quickly hop over to my Discord and see if I can find anyone in the off-air channel that wants to come for a little bit of an interview. Anyone on the podium is welcome. See, I've got Philip Minar waiting. I'll pull him in a sec, just as the final drivers cross the line. We'll see if we can see anyone else. I've got Joseph van Rensburg as well, so perfect. Let me pull these guys in. Alrighty, we have Joseph van Rensburg and Philip Minar. We'll see if we get Emile de Villiers or not. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, for the time being, Joseph van Rensburg, congrats, P1, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, you qualified P2, and I think, yeah, just managed to pip Emile there. Talk us through your race. How did that happen?
Well, it was just actually quite consistent, just trying to keep the tires alive. And
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, epic, man. And Philip, you looked like, I think you've gained about 3 places from your qualifying up to P3. Managed to get a podium?
I did not expect it, to be honest. I was highly unprepared for this race. Yeah, I think running high downforce here was okay if you're in the pack, but definitely not racing against someone, I can tell you that.
Was there actually quite a, I mean, can you feel the difference running closely behind someone on this track? You know, do you get a loss of traction or downforce, or, you know, what do you actually experience?
Quite a lot. Joshua and those guys, I assume you guys ran low downforce. I ran high and it was okay. It felt like low downforce in dirty air, but I can't imagine what low downforce would feel like behind someone.
Yeah, you had to like take the corner off, nearly.
Cool.
It's really bad.
Right, well, regardless, I think a big congrats to both of you guys. Some good podium points there not to be sniffed at. And just wishing you all the best for the next round. Well done, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, thanks. Alright, guys, that is it for round 3. I'm going to quickly give you another final look at our finishing leaderboard. just as you can see there. So the top 3, of course, we've just spoken to Joseph van Rensburg and Philip Minnar. Emile de Villiers, a big congrats to you for the silver medal, buddy. Very well done. Marius Skuman, of course, coming in 4th place, also had a very good race. Actually going to quickly see if I can adjust my tower to see the position gains and losses across the field. So Marius up 3 places from your qualifying, so very good job to you as well, and your teammates as well. I think it was a good outing for SimRace Extreme today. Gerard Pretorius as well, up 1 place. And then Ruben Kruger up 2. Nick unfortunately losing out, down 4 positions to finish P7. And then Jeremy de Villiers up 1 to finish P8. Corne Breed, probably the biggest winners today. Big congrats, buddy. Putting it up into P9, finishing just 13 places ahead of where you qualified. Raymond Duggan also very well, just rounding up the top 10, putting it up 4 spots from where you qualified. So yeah, thanks very much everyone for joining today. It's been a good race. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have too. And just looking ahead to the next round. So next week we're going to be crossing to the simGT series. So that is the GT3 on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We are going to be at Mount Panorama. So it's Bathurst. And so tune in next week to see how those drivers take care of the mountain. And then we'll go into our Legends rotation again, and then SimTC again, and then we'll be back again for round 4 of the simGP series. And next time we are on Mugello, so watch out for that, because that is an epic track for open wheelers. Nevertheless, thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the chatting, keeping me company, and we'll catch you in the next round. Thanks very much. Ciao guys. Bye.